LeChuck is back. We review Escape from Monkey Island. We tag the streets of Tokyo Toe in our review of Jet Grind Radio. And Final Fantasy IX is out, and it's a little different from what you've seen. Stick around. It's game time.
Hello and welcome to GameSpot TV at Metreon in San Francisco. I'm Kate Botello.
And I'm Adam Sessler. Now, we've seen a lot of peripherals on the show, everything from steering wheels to joysticks, but what about gaming devices for the disabled?
Now, this is a question we actually get asked a lot, so we decided to go out and explore the different ways that people with disabilities have been able to get in on the gaming front.
This is a miniature trackball for someone who would have limited motion. This is called the vertical mouse. Turning it in a vertical position, it takes all the stress off your arm.
When we talk about access for the disabled, normally we're talking about access to buildings or to public transportation. But what about access to computers and computer games? Access itself is hard to find. Finding resources can be even harder. Fortunately, there's places like this. This is WorkLink in Berkeley, California, where they're trying to change that. We're here with Wayne Calhoun, the manager of WorkLink. Wayne, there are so many different types of disabilities, as many as there are different types of people. So how do you meet the needs of all the people who come into your store?
We have an alliance with a lot of manufacturers and products, and we have about 10 years of experience. This is a one-handed keyboard. Somebody who has use of one hand would be able to emulate a whole keyboard. Believe it or not, once you become proficient at this, it's faster than a keyboard.
Repetitive stress injury, or RSI, can disable frequent computer users, making it difficult to complete even the simplest of tasks.
What are the risks of RSI just for the average gamer, for instance?
I would say very high.
Really? So a lot of people think it can't happen to them.
Exactly.
And it still may.
Yes.
Okay. So keep that in mind. Do your stretches.
Justin Hall is recovering from a major repetitive strain injury that came in the form of tendinitis in his arms and hands. There are unique solutions for these kinds of injuries.
This is called a head mouse, and it tracks movement of your head and moves the mouse on the screen. There's a sensor in here that moves along with your head. And so when I put it on, I then move my head around and the mouse moves with me. I could control my units in StarCraft pretty easily just by moving my head and clicking with my foot and then dragging to select which units I wanted and then moving over and clicking with my other foot to move them. That all worked pretty well. The Sims was also pretty friendly. It was a little harder because the characters, even if they're a little pudgy, they're still pretty thin and hard to click on with moving my head around. The first-person shooters with this, I thought it would be fun, but it wasn't like that at all. It was more like I spent all my time trying not to stare at the ceiling or the floor. There's no way that I could keep myself from being slaughtered.
One type of evolving technology is voice recognition, and that works for everything from computing to gaming to art. Philip Martin Chavez has been paralyzed since a diving accident 30 years ago.
1, 4, 5.
He uses voice recognition software to play games and create digital art.
I didn't really start using a computer until I was able to get voice recognition program. Button click, mouse upper left. It was great. It was like opening up a whole new world to me. I like to, play solitaire and some simple games like that. And I have very limited arm strength. And so using a trackball to do that, or just playing one deck of solitaire is really quite exhausting. But I'm a very verbal person, so voice recognition software works really well for me.
Whether it's voice recognition or some other technology, there's equipment out there to meet almost any need.
The people who design software, people who design operating systems, and people who design hardware should try not using their hands and see where they, and see what they can do. And if they can't use their hands, can they still talk to a computer? And if they can't, what are they going to do about it?
If you want more information on WorkLink, it's all on the GameSpot TV website.
And now, it's time for the game news.
Sega of America has denied that it's planning to work with DVD player manufacturers in order to launch Dreamcast-compatible DVD units. The company says such a move would be restricted to its Japanese operations. This would allow consumers to buy certain DVD players with Dreamcast compatibility. Sierra Studios and Gearbox have announced the development of Half-Life for the PS2. The game will be released in the second quarter of 2001 and will include new co-op, deathmatch, and multiplayer modes. Sierra could not confirm whether the game will be playable online, saying that an announcement will be made at a later date regarding online play. Capcom has confirmed that Resident Evil Code Veronica will be released on the PlayStation 2 with extra features. The game will be called Biohazard Code Veronica Complete in Japan and will ship on March 21st. A European and US release is expected next May.
For all your gaming news, come by the GameSpot TV website.
And while you're there, you can find links for all the devices we showed you in this week's Spotlight feature.
Coming up on GameSpot TV, we have a rad code to help you with SSX for the PS2. And beware the pirate LeChuck when we escape from Monkey Island.
Stop daydreaming and make yourself useful!
My name is Lara Croft, and I'm about to die. I only regret that part of my story remains untold, buried for all time.
Discover Tomb Raider Chronicles: The Lost Adventures of Lara, the first new Tomb Raider game of the millennium, and very possibly the last. Rated T for teen.
Welcome back to GameSpot TV here at Metreon in San Francisco.
Now, last year around this time, we saw the release of two top-of-the-line first-person shooters meant for multiplayer play. They were Quake 3 and Unreal Tournament.
Well, they came, saw, and conquered our PCs, but now they're available for consoles. Quake 3 for the Dreamcast and Unreal Tournament for the PlayStation 2. Let's see how they fared in the conversion.
Unreal Tournament for the PlayStation 2 is more or less a scaled-down version of the PC hit. The single-player mode is basically a training ground to perfect your skills for multiplayer. The game comes with the modes from the original PC version, and it has mutators that allow players to tweak the gameplay. The controls can be hard to adjust to, and you can only use one of the preset configurations. The game also uses auto-aim that can't be disabled. The graphics aren't as sharp as on the PC version, but they still look nice, and the game maintains a consistent frame rate. The largest difference between the two versions is the lack of online play. You can play multiplayer matches with up to 4 players or use the iLink to connect 2 PS2s. Nonetheless, the game offers satisfying shooter action. GameSpot gives it an 8.2 out of 10. Quake 3's single-player mode is also used to hone your skills as you move through competitive tiers. On the difficult levels, the bots do put up a fight. But multiplayer is where the game is focused, and you have the option to battle it out with up to 4 players on one Dreamcast or up to 4 players while playing online. The controls are intuitive, and the game really functions as a pick-up-and-play title. The game is a remarkable graphical translation from the PC version, with some textures almost looking superior. Most importantly, the frame rate is rock solid and fast. The online play suffers from normal problems like slow servers, but if you can deal with NFL 2K1, you can deal with Quake 3. If you want a shooter, you just can't go wrong here. GameSpot gives it a 9.4 out of 10.
Nothing is further from a first-person shooter, really, than an adventure game. Take, for instance, the Monkey Island series. Now, one of my favorite things about that series is its ability to make fun of itself. So if you're playing the game and you're paying very close attention, you can find all sorts of little digs at the developer, LucasArts. So now, let's take a look at the 4th game in this series, Escape from Monkey Island.
Monkey Island games have a reputation for being seriously funny, and that rep holds true with the 4th game in the series, Escape from Monkey Island.
Guybrush! Stop daydreaming and make yourself useful!
Guybrush Threepwood, a mighty pirate, and his new bride, Governor Elaine Marley, have returned from their honeymoon to find that Elaine has to run for governor again.
The governor's dead, ma'am.
And might actually lose.
Remember, a vote for me is a vote against demon-spawned hell pirates.
Combine politics with the yuppification of the pirate islands.
Star Buccaneers Coffee, home of expensive espressos and gentrified Java.
Throw in a quest for the ultimate insult.
the ultimate insult! Ah!
And you have a lot of errands for Guybrush to run.
Stop the insanity. Check.
Escape from Monkey Island uses 3D characters and 2D backgrounds a la Grim Fandango, as well as a keyboard interface. The puzzles in Escape from Monkey Island primarily involve using your inventory in creative and sometimes bizarre ways. Many of these puzzles are good. Some, though, make no sense at all. Escape from Monkey Island is a great game, but the puzzles can be frustrating.
That didn't get me anywhere.
Still, they're fun to figure out, and the dialogue along the way is entertaining.
Goodbye, cruel adventure game.
If you're a Monkey Island newbie, you might miss some in-jokes.
That's the second biggest monkey head I've ever seen.
But veterans of the Monkey Island series will surely enjoy the game in spite of its occasional problems. GameSpot.com gives Escape from Monkey Island an 8.1 out of 10.
Bear this in mind. If you get stuck on one of Monkey Island's strange and arbitrary puzzles, remember that it's all right to use the walkthrough. The game is supposed to be about you having fun. Now, SSX has wowed everybody at the GameSpot TV offices. And if you want as much out of the game as we found, here are a few cheat codes to help you along your way.
As SSX turned into SOS, we have some cheats to aid you in this sensational, supernatural snowboarding game. To unlock everything, go to the options screen. Hold L1, L2, R1, R2, and press down, left, up, right, X, circle, triangle, square. To get maximum attributes, hold L1, L2, R1, R2, and press X 7 times, then square. And finally, this code redefines the term Goofy Foot. Hold L1, L2, R1, R2, and press square, triangle, circle, X, square, triangle, circle, X. If you entered any of the codes correctly, you'll hear a sound. Repeat the code to disable it. Coming up on GameSpot TV, we go tagging in our review of Jet Grind Radio. And we review the last Final Fantasy for the PlayStation 1.
Welcome back to GameSpot TV at Metreon.
Now, this next game, we received hundreds, I believe it's hundreds.
Yes, hundreds.
Hundreds of emails. It's for a game called Final Fantasy IX.
So finally, by popular demand, here's our review.
Recognized as a return to the series' roots, Final Fantasy IX serves as a summation to all the things that have made players enjoy this franchise for the past decade. Appealing characters, an out-of-this-world story, and engrossing battles make for an amazing presentation. We begin on the Mist Continent in the Kingdom of Alexandria. Zidane, a member of a rogue theater troupe called Tantalus, goes over the group's plan to capture a princess. Things get complicated when he realizes that she actually wants to be kidnapped. What happens next? That's for you to experience. The Final Fantasy series has never seen a better combat system. Each party member has their own unique skills that can be expanded upon by equipping objects. Spells like the gorgeous summons are easily executable. With every installment, Final Fantasy improves visually. In 9, backgrounds are rich and vibrant, and the full motion video has never looked better. It's too bad that the series is still cursed with low-quality audio. While the songs are well done in composition, the presentation sounds dated. Compared to parts 7 and 8, Final Fantasy IX is a throwback to the more traditional role-playing aesthetics of the 8 and 16-bit generations. It delivers a polished, nostalgic presentation and bypasses the sometimes awkward consequences of more original play mechanics. GameSpot.com gives Final Fantasy IX an 8.5 out of 10.
There's a lot more Final Fantasy to look forward to. The movie's in production, and the PlayStation 2 is going to have Final Fantasy X and 11, which is rumored to be exclusively online. Now, skateboarding is not a crime, and neither is rollerblading. Tagging, on the other hand, that's a different story. Now, despite what you feel about the content of the game, Jet Grind Radio for the Dreamcast is innovative and a whole lot of fun.
Jet Grind Radio!
Despite what you might think, Jet Grind Radio is not Sega's attempt at cashing in on the recent skateboarding craze in games. In fact, this game is sure to spawn copycats of its own. In the city of Tokyo-to, inline skating gangs run the streets as they tag their turf.
Let's look at the fun.
You belong to the GGs. You have to protect your territory from rivals and take over theirs at the same time. Opposition also comes in the form of law enforcement. While they might seem like a simple nuisance at first, watch out. Soon they'll be after you with tanks. Gameplay is user-friendly, yet never ceases to be challenging. You'll have to balance your cop dodging, spray can grabbing, wall tagging duties evenly in order to have a chance at success. And who can ignore the graphics? While this hand-drawn look has been seen before in games such as Fear Effect and Wacky Races, this graphical style has never looked so incredible and so seamless. The sound perfectly complements the visuals, making you feel that you're not only playing a game, but a music video as well. Jet Grind Radio is loaded with redefining game elements and forces you to rethink your audio-visual expectations for today's games. GameSpot.com gives Jet Grind Radio a 9 out of 10.
This is most disturbing.
It's interesting that the tagging in Jet Grind Radio didn't cause much of a stir with Japanese authorities, but it did make a big stink over here in the more politically correct United States. Alice in Wonderland is a perpetual children's favorite, although the more bizarre elements of the story are usually told in kind of a fun, lighthearted way. Now, though, we can see what happens when Alice looks through the glass darkly.
Alice in Wonderland is coming to the PC, and thanks to designer AmericanMcGee, Wonderland has gotten more wondrous and more terrible. You play Alice from a third-person perspective as she tries to conquer the Queen of Hearts. In order to free Wonderland from its state of decay, you must use a set of bizarre weapons to do away with the freaks that stand in your way. The game uses the Quake 3 engine, so clobbering enemies such as the Queen's card guards and fire imps is par for the course. However, the game will also include a healthy dose of adventure and puzzle solving. You'll be able to explore such areas as the Vale of Tears, the Mad Hatter's Castle, and the Queen's Realm, with 15 different levels in all. Of course, you'll be changing shape and size depending on the level, as Alice is known to do, which means you can expect some nifty camera tricks while you're on your journeys. If you're looking for a quirky gaming experience, this unique re-rendering of the Lewis Carroll classic will be out in the beginning of December.
Well, what are you waiting for?
Coming up on GameSpot TV, we have a very cool peripheral to help you frag your friends. And we help you get your game on with a handy cheat code.
Welcome back to GameSpot TV here at Metreon in San Francisco.
Now, it can be difficult to communicate with your gaming clan team members in the middle of a firestorm, unless, of course, you're having a LAN party in the living room.
But here's a look at a piece of equipment that makes it a lot easier to coordinate a planned attack over the internet.
It's the Microsoft Game Voice. Have you ever been playing Unreal Tournament with a bunch of your friends online and you wanted to tell Ray to go left and Ryan to go right and Tisha to go back without having to type anything? Well, now you can with one of these. So what is this? This is the Microsoft Sidewinder Game Voice. It's a really interesting little unit. Comes in two pieces, the headset with the microphone and the controller unit. Now this is really helpful because you can map each individual member on your team to a button on the unit. So I can say, go left, Ray. Go right, Ryan, and Tish, straight like your little heart depends on it. Of course, you can also talk to every member of your team at the same time by just hitting the magical team button. Say you get in a really good frag, you want to gloat, hit all, everybody in the session hears you say, take that, sucker! It's a good thing. Now, if not everyone you're playing with has one of these, it's still useful if you have one all by yourself. Why is that? this magic command button right here. This comes with an excellent voice recognition software that'll allow you to put commands in for gaming that are activated by the command button. For instance, if you're playing Unreal Tournament and you want to switch to your shock rifle, you can just hit the command button and say, shock rifle, and that's it. This whole unit should set you back about 50 bucks. Cut! The Microsoft Game Voice might also prove useful to people who have limited use of their hands. The voice command feature is very powerful and works for movement as well as switching weapons. Now, our intro of the week is for the latest Bond game, The World Is Not Enough.
I like my games shaken, not stirred. Since most of us aren't Bond, it can be a little bit sticky when you get stuck in a game. So, thank goodness for cheat codes.
Star Trek Invasion presents you with a tough expedition, but we have a code to unlock all the difficult missions. At the stellar cartography screen, press up, left, down, right, up, right, down, left, up, L1, R1, L2, R2. The screen will flash. But wait, there's more. When you pause, a cheat screen option will appear at the bottom of the menu with various selections.
You will be assimilated. Resistance is futile.
If you want more cheats, you can find them all at the GameSpot TV website.
And while you're there, don't forget to take our poll and let us know what was your favorite feature segment we did this year, and we'll put it in our Best of 2000 show.
We'd like to give a great big thanks to Metreon for having us today. And so, until next week,
Game over. Now, our next title is the first for the PlayStation 2 from Square. And in an interesting departure, it's not an RPG, it's actually a fighter. So, put up your dukes and take a sneak peek at the Bouncer. Though The Bouncer may conjure up images of nightclub goons, it's actually a fighting game, plus a whole lot more. Square has incorporated a seamless action battle system where players roam from adventure sequence to fighting sequence, blending adventure aspects with massive street brawls. The game's camera movements and special effects look like something out of Hollywood.
And this ride ain't cheap.
There are huge open environments and lots of interactivity. If it's there, you can use it in battle, and fighters can do just about anything. And when the fighting is over, the plot unfolds in cinematic 3D. In addition to the single-player adventure, the game features a 4-player fighting bonanza, team battle, versus, adventure, and survival modes.
Where did you take Dominique?
The Bouncer's characters were done by none other than Tetsuya Nomura, the well-known character designer of Final Fantasy VII and VIII, Parasite Eve, and Brave Fencer Musashi. Suffice it to say, his glowing creations in The Bouncer are characters to be reckoned with.
This time, I'll make sure I finish you off, along with your friends.
From what Square has shown us so far, The Bouncer looks like a title to watch for. If you want a fighting game with extra pizzazz, The Bouncer will be out in mid-January.